What's up, Reefers? Welcome back to our channel. We're at the Long Island Aquarium. We're coming to see our friend Joe Ayuli today. He invited us to see the 20,000-gallon reef tank. He did a reboot 2 years ago. We never seen this tank. I'm super excited. He always invited us. We're always too busy, so I made it a point to stay a day after Reefapalooza. Here we are. Let's go inside. Let's go check him out. Come on. All right, guys. We just made it to the Long Island Aquarium. We're here with Joe. What's up,
Hey,
Joe?
man. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for making the effort.
Oh, thank you for having us over. You've been inviting us over for many years now, and we finally made it. So we're super excited. Behind us, we got the 20,000-gallon tank.
It is a little over 20,000 gallons.
Okay.
We did a hard reboot on this tank 2 years ago. So if you were here 2 years ago this time, this tank was completely drained. Everything was bleached out. There was a number of physical things that needed to get redone, some biological things, and here we are 2 years later.
Was it hard to do such a reboot after so many years? Like emotionally, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people don't think of it along those lines. So
I do.
Yeah, it was dismantling my life's work.
That's like, it's just a lot of emotions go behind those things. There's so much passion.
Yeah.
Hundreds and thousands of hours and years and years of effort.
35 years of stuff going into it. So, but it was necessary. It was needed.
You told me you were having problems with too many, though the palito was growing.
Palito was the main concern, and I was starting to lose some fish and some corals. I was getting sick, and I know people that have gotten very sick from it. It's a serious concern, so I didn't want myself getting any sicker. I didn't want staff getting sicker.
So get rid of it.
So that was really the only option at that point. I had started removing them in like 2015, but it just wasn't a feasible means, and it was the only way to do it was to just.
And how long did it take from the time you started rebooting it till it was back running?
It was intense. 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Going at it every single
7
day.
days a week, all kinds of hours. Staff here was supportive as well.
Yeah.
Put in many late nights myself, and so we took out all the sand and re-bleached the rock work and renegotiated some of the space.
Gotcha.
Fixed up some rusty things. It was just a number of things. You know, we had been running 21 years.
Yeah.
And you know what saltwater. You know what saltwater does to stuff.
Yeah. So it was definitely needed.
It was needed.
So what's the dimensions of the system?
So the system is 30 feet long. Okay. It is 14 feet front to back.
14 feet.
7 feet deep.
Oh, wow.
So when it was built, it was the largest reef tank in this hemisphere.
Okay.
And second largest in the world. That was back in 2000.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So.
And will you do anything different if you rebuild it again, size-wise?
Yeah. I mean, there was contemplation when I did drop it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But between budgets and time frames and stuff, I would probably have done one big piece of acrylic. Okay. We went with 2 smaller pieces, relatively speaking. And I probably would have gone like another 3 feet deeper.
3 feet deeper? Why?
Not so much for the corals, but we have, when the fish start spawning and courtship and stuff, a lot of them like to column spawn. Yeah. And it would be nice to have given them just a little bit more working space to do the spawning.
So it's a little bit taller on one panel, basically.
Yeah, otherwise, you really don't need to go further front to back because, you know, when a coral's 12 feet away from you, like, you know, you need binoculars to see how it's doing. So
we're going to be sending you some corals to put in here.
Very excited about that.
But I see everything's going very fast.
Yes. You're never content with a reef tank.
Yeah.
But I got to say I'm happy with the progress that's been made because especially a lot of the SPS didn't go in until maybe like a year into the rebuild.
And how big were the pieces that you introduced there as far as like the corals, like the acropores?
A majority of the acros were frags or just small colonies.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of the pieces that were taken out of the main tank when we redid the tank were just, you know, fragged them up and made them smaller and then glued them onto the old skeletons to make it look like they grew back.
I understand.
I mean, the big Gorgonia that's right in front of you here, I've had that 32 years. That was the
32 years.
That was the size of my thumb. And actually that was a piece that I had given to Greg Scheimer, who unfortunately lost a number of years back. So some of these Gorgs date back, you know, some of these acros, the lineages date back to the early 90s.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And do the rest of them, like the rest of the colonies, came from that one frag of yours?
A majority of them. Some of these are different species.
Okay.
But I would say a majority of what you see, and I've given away just hundreds and hundreds of pieces.
So it's a fast grower.
Gorgonia. Yes. Yeah.
Incredible, incredible.
Yeah.
What about the leathers? How big were they when you put them in there? That is just humongous.
Yeah, it's 2 bookends. So this one here is closed up. That one's open. They were probably that big when I did the reboot.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a lot of the Milkas and Stylos and stuff. The Acros were, Series were frags, and it's exciting for me for this rebuild. It was kind of a revitalization for
Yeah,
me.
to like kind of like get like a new win. And
Yeah, and it's also good to show the younger staff what the old guy can still do.
I know. Sometimes I feel the same way. They think that like, oh, they just happen to land here. Yeah. So let's talk about fish a little bit.
Yep.
I love the selection of fish you have. I was early asking you. I see you have 2 Soho tanks.
Yes. Yeah.
Do they fight?
No, they've been together 23 years now.
23 years.
Yeah. So they were some of the fish. I've been taking it slow on the fish restocking. My priority has been getting corals established. And I didn't want to fight water qualities with a lot of fish. There's some big unicorn here from some rescues, some rabbit fish.
It's huge.
People love that fish. I have about another 150 fish in quarantine right now.
Okay.
That'll be going in. But
and when you say 150 fish, what type of fish in general? Like a lot of Anthias, chromis?
A lot of Anthias, like 80 green chromis.
Okay.
But a lot of small fish, wrasses. That's the focus of the tank, is going to keep everything on that smaller, more natural looking scale where, yeah.
So normally when I talk to people, I try to go over, oh, let's talk about the fish that you have in here. But in this case, it's a little difficult, but can you just mention some of the fish that are in here? Yeah,
I mean, the Genacanthus angels, I really enjoy them, and they're spawning again. The Anthias are spawning. I don't know my fish really well.
I understand.
We're doing as much captive bred fish as possible, so you'll see a lot of fish in here.
Bags?
Yeah, those you'll see a lot of ORA fish in here, a lot of biota fish. We did a reboot on our 2,400 gallon clownfish tank a year ago, and that tank is entirely captive bred.
Nice.
So I think it's an important message to get out there.
What are some of your biggest challenges that you go out to have so many fish put together in an aquarium like this?
Challenges on the fish really is, well, you never want to see skinny fish.
Yes.
You know, and
yeah, that's not the problem with your fish for sure.
Yeah. So, you know, it's getting enough food to them without jeopardizing your water qualities, compatibilities, things like that.
I was going to say, that's mainly what I wanted to know. Like, do you sometimes introduce a new fish and, yeah, you might not be worried about disease and stuff like that, but you worry that hierarchy changes and one fish can throw everything off and next thing you know, they're fighting? Do you see stuff like that in an environment like this?
A little bit. If I do think it might be a challenging introduction, I will float baskets in the tank.
And keep them in there for a while.
And everybody can see everybody.
So kind of like an acclimation box.
Yes, certain fish, like if I have some purple tangs in here, just be happy with the few that I have and don't try to jam more in.
Don't force it.
Yeah, just, you know, with the compatibilities. And
how much do you feed here every day?
That varies. We feed a fair amount of spirulina flake food, pelleted foods, PE mysis, PE calinus, Hikari mysis.
Any phytoplankton? No?
I haven't been doing any phytoplankton. LRS has been going in, which has been good. So on the reboot, I did come across the worst coral parasite I've ever dealt with. This is this white amphipod that was eating corals. They actually did start eating some of the mushroom anemones, which really blew me away. I didn't see them eating any of the softy corals, but they loved the Postaloporid. The Damocornis was their favorite.
Cyphestrias, Leptoceras.
Yeah. And
I think I run into that before in the past.
But the way they present it looks like you have a bacterial infection or a slow tissue necrosis. So unless you're really looking for them, you have no idea. And I think they're more prevalent in the hobby. So my lectures now are gearing towards that. I'm going to join you guys in Dallas. That'll be my talk. And
gotcha.
So I was doing some biological control with some pipefish, some more wrasses. I was going in and hosing them out.
Trying to do it the natural way, and you couldn't.
And I could put out the fires.
And you couldn't figure it out.
You couldn't win the war. So I went with the active ingredient in Interceptor, the milbomycin.
Yeah.
Treated the tank.
And it worked?
Worked beautifully. And we're 1.3 grams of milbomycin. No, per tank.
You guys heard that?
This is 1.3 grams for 20,000 gallons.
Let's look
but
here.
I think this is a donation that I had gotten in that was the size of my fist. I think that's your guys' coral, that purple acro.
Wow.
I don't get the yellow tips like you guys normally do.
Gotcha.
They're, from the
But
top,
that
you
thing
can see them a
grows
little
and
bit.
grows and
Oh
grows
my
and
God.
grows and grows.
You'll see
and
it all
run
over
for the hills.
You'll see it all over the tank.
Okay.
I've spread the frags of that all over.
Which one grows faster? The stag over there,
Yeah.
or the yellow tips? I will say the stag over there. That, well, I don't know.
It's.
No, this thing is more
I
dense.
think this one, volume-wise, is mind-boggling. So what I'm going to do, because now my line of sight is gone, right?
Yeah.
It's making the tank look smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that piece off, plant a few pieces back, and then find a permanent home for that down lower, where I
Yeah.
can just let it get, you know, as big as I want. Same thing with the acro behind it too. It's just so. Again, a really nice problem to have again, of
Or having too much of it.
too much in my line of sight, and then my eye twitches, and then I got to get in there because, yeah, it's like, oh, I got to get in there.
Like, it's not perfect. It's
So,
got to go this
yep.
way. How often you dive this tank?
Now, about once a week, sometimes
week?
sometimes twice. Yeah, there's a lot of maintenance on this tank right now.
What about the glass?
The glass is cleaned on average 2 to 3 times a week. We've got company coming every day.
Okay.
So it's either with the cleaning pole or a cleaning magnet, and then when I'm diving, the corners.
Are you
and
the only
stuff
one that dives the tank?
I'm the only one that dives. One chef right now.
One chef.
Yeah, one chef. Yeah, we'll
It's better that
we
way.
have we have great staff here. So like on my days off, you know, they're well trained on the maintenance and the feeds, and
Gotcha.
so every habitat here has a primary and then backup.
So do you have like a farming area for all of these corals? Because obviously, when they start growing, I mean, you can see just
Yes.
these yellow polyps that are growing in the sand.
Yes, yeah. So when we did the tank breakdown, all of that was used for we had corals. I had a 12-foot diameter pool set up.
I can imagine.
So none of that it's running but not operational because everything is here. We have some tanks above the tank. But yeah, soon we'll be propagating from here to those tanks
cool.
again. And then when COVID hit, basically anything behind the scenes that we didn't need
shut it
to
down, yeah.
maintain was shut down. But we've got our aquaculture going again, and our algae cultures and copepods, and we're breeding fish again, and
Got
so it's all good stuff.
Wow.
So this is with all the pumps on and stuff too. So what I'm going to do is
Raise the lights.
I'm gonna turn some pumps off.
Okay, so we
so
can see
that
better.
we can get a much clearer view
Okay,
going down.
perfect.
But we got about 25,000 watts of light up here. I'm still primarily halides.
Okay.
So there are some transits. I've been using the max specs for about 8 years on the LEDs. Been talking with them about, you know,
Switching the whole
because I
thing.
can't get my bulbs anymore. My
Funny.
bulbs are preference.
I asked you earlier.
Yeah.
I said, you still running metal highlights? You say yes.
Yeah.
My question was like, how you securing metal highlight bulbs?
Yep.
You
So
can
some
only
of the
get the
daylight-
Usho.
Yes, yeah. Some of the daylight bulbs I can still get. I did get some blue 1,000 watters from Tulio. But you know, then you're dealing with disposals and things like that. But yeah, let me turn that light off.
How often you try to replace the bulbs?
It depends on the bulb. Anywhere between 8 months and a year is kind of what I've been going with.
Okay. And they're all 1,000 watts?
The ones that are hanging over the tank are all 1,000s, and then the ones on the wall are 400s. That's a max spec 500 over there. So when I do dive, it's the scuba tank stays up here in a long regulator hose,
Yeah.
and then just more of a careful walk. So it's just me, my weights, and a wetsuit.
Do the
So
fish
I-
get excited when you get in?
Most of them don't really care. Other ones, if I get in their territory, will actually attack me. And you know, it's like, you know, you're
What,
like
the clownfish and the damsels?
The damsels mostly. The lawnmower blennies also
Okay.
really have some attitude because they're breeding in here now. So yeah, there's fixed return lines shooting down the grooves here, and I still have my good old sea swirls going, and big Abiz, an Abiz 1200.
Gotcha.
Alex from Abiz donated that beautiful pump there. That can move 150,000 gallons an hour.
What?
Yeah. And then I've got the Panther Ray in the back corner here that can do 50,000 gallons an hour.
Those anemones, how often do they reproduce?
Well, initially started with one many years ago.
Yeah.
So when I took the tank down, I ended up with 19 that were up on that ridge.
Okay.
I've slowly been putting some back and letting them split. They're not very fast splitters. They definitely will split more if you feed them.
Yeah.
So I put 2 over in the clownfish anemone tank. I've spread them around the tank.
So I want to ask you a couple questions about maintenance.
Yeah.
So how often you do water changes, if you do any?
It does vary. Some weeks it's none. I do have sand filters on here for mechanical filtration,
Okay.
so they do need to be backwashed.
Okay.
I can backwash them with just fresh water, municipal water.
Okay.
If I'm going to do a water change, I'll backwash them with some tank water.
Okay.
So sometimes 5% a week,
Okay.
sometimes 10% a week.
Okay.
Every once in a while, you look, you just see like, something's a little not right.
Okay.
And then I'll do 15%.
Okay. Do you get natural seawater?
So we do have natural seawater.
Okay.
It is low in everything, reef related, calcium, magnesium,
Okay.
everything. So once it's the percent water change isn't that huge, but I'm supplementing with all ESV products for the calcium and the magnesium and strong, everything else. So I bring the levels back up.
That's what I was going to get into.
Yeah.
So what are you using for calcium and alkalinity? You have a calcium reactor?
Yeah, but it hasn't been used in probably 15 years.
Okay. So what
you're
are you
looking at Kalkwasser.
Okay, great.
This
So this is a
entire
question.
system
It's Kalkwasser.
is Kalkwasser.
All right. I understand that. My question is, if it's all Kalkwasser, how are you keeping up with it? Are you having to constantly adjust alkalinity every night? Do you dump a cup every night, a couple cups into?
So I have a 55-gallon barrel downstairs. I dump 1 or 2 cups of calcium hydroxide powder into that.
Okay.
It's constantly stirred, so I have a milky white. I don't let it settle.
So that's your concentrated one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then that's hooked up to a doser that doses into a high flow area of the tank, so it further dilutes.
Okay.
And that pretty much maintains all my calcium and alkalinity.
And what do you keep it at?
Calcium's, I like 420 to 440, normal range is 420, 440.
Yeah.
Alkalinity between 8 and 8.6.
And you're able to maintain with that method that you're using. So it's regular Kalkwasser all day long, and then you got to take paste of it that you don't let settle. That's for...
Right, I can show you the barrel when we go down.
Cool.
And so that's a constantly stirred. So you have to be careful dosing it, of course, because of the pH. But it's a nice, this is the amount of calcium that these things are sucking out of the water.
It's incredible.
Every day.
Oh, I can imagine.
The amount
You
of
see it.
magnesium is...
You almost watch it happen.
Oh yeah, if you take a couple of days off, you come back, you see a difference.
What about protein skimmer?
So protein skimmer, the ones I built, one I built 24 years ago, the big black one back there.
Okay, it works well?
200 gallons a minute, about 1 gram per hour ozone injected into that, just a slight amount of ozone to keep the water from going yellow.
Okay.
I have an old ETS skimmer over there that's doing about 100 gallons a minute. So that's it from the protein skimming side. I have 2 sand filters for mechanical filtration.
Yeah.
I run some Fosban in some chemical reactors over here.
Okay. Carbon?
I do about 10 gallons of carbon in a gentle upflow reactor that I built. And I try to change that like every 3 weeks.
Okay.
And some lanthanum chloride. That's doing the heavy lifting on the phosphate removal.
Yeah.
The Fosban and stuff, I like. It does remove the phosphates, of course, but I like it for removing what I call the unknown nasties.
Yeah.
I mean, it was originally designed for arsenic removal and things.
Okay. Well, Joe, I think that covers everything for the tank. So now I've been wanting to come to see this tank for a long time, and I'm glad I waited after you did the reboot because it's starting to look fantastic. I can only imagine how it's going to look in the next 6 months or so. So I have a dream of mine, and I'm going to ask. I'm going to shoot. Okay. So
all I can do is say no.
All right. So check this out.
Yeah.
I wanted to send you a bunch of calls, and when I mean a bunch of calls, lots of calls. I know exactly what you have and what you need.
Yep.
I am going to send you that, but will you consider me hand delivering the calls and dive in the tank with you to plan the calls? I know I'm asking for a lot, but will you consider it?
It is a lot. I'll consider it. It's considered, and yeah, it'd be a pleasure to have you in there.
Wow, bro. Wow, my dream came through, guys. So we're going to come back and dive this tank. We're going to plant a bunch of corals. Now I got to bring I can't bring little frags because they're going to get lost. So I got to bring like a mariculture little mini colonies I gotta bring. I'm gonna start cooking them right now.
Yeah, those would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, you guys have tremendous stuff. So you see what I have. You see spaces. It's chef's choice.
I
like
am super excited, guys.
Yeah, like if you ask me like what do we bring, I'm like chef's choice, man. Like,
how many pieces can we handle? 30, 50? Can we handle 50 new species?
Well, you're
or
talking
that's
to
too
a
much?
coralaholic. Like, what's too much? Never.
I'll bring you 50 new species that you don't have, and let's make it happen.
That would
and
be
I'm
awesome.
gonna bring you stuff that has been with me for a long time. Aquaculture,
Well,
no parasites. I know it's gonna grow. Can you guys hear my voice? I'm super excited now. Seriously.
Well, even anything with a lineage.
Oh, for
like
sure.
The history stuff is so important to me.
You don't have an Oregon tour here.
I don't.
I will start with that.
Yep.
All right, guys. So that is it for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Give us a like. We'll see you guys very soon because we're coming back. See you guys on the next episode.
Cheers.
Thanks, Joe.
My pleasure, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it, buddy.